Welcome, everyone. This is the next video in the state series by the Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Attorneys. We are covering the state of Iowa today, and you have two magnificent fellows with us today that can tell us all about the state of Iowa. Emily, can you introduce yourself to everybody, please?
You bet. My name's Emily Gailing, and I'm with Gailing Osborne Law Firm. I've been an art fellow. It was my goal as soon as I heard about Quad A to become an art fellow, and I made it my goal and my mission to do it. And I've been an art Quad A fellow for several years, probably about 4 years now. And I just love it. It's a big part of the practice that I have, and it's a passion for me.
And Shayla, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Shayla McCormley, and I work at McCormley in Cosgrove. So I started, I'm on about the same track as Emily. I did adoptions for a while, and then Emily said, hey, let's learn this together. We need two attorneys. And it was a natural progression from adoptions. And so we kind of together worked on getting the experience. I would say probably we've done this for about 10 years, but with the Academy's requirements, made sure we're good and trained. And so it's been fun to join the ranks of individuals across the country who have really good experience. And so we've both been fellows for about 4 years.
Yeah, I always tell people that, where I'm like, people seem surprised when you say, well, you kind of need an opposing counsel, right? You've got to have somebody else to do the work with. It's really hard to do it one-sided. So you two have known each other for years. You work well together. But let's talk about Iowa. Generally, is Iowa a friendly state for anybody looking at assisted reproduction, whether it be surrogacy or donation?
Yes, Iowa is a friendly state towards surrogacy and assisted fertility law. There's not a statute, but we do have an Iowa Supreme Court case that holds surrogacy contracts enforceable.
Okay, great. So Shayla, are there specific requirements that, people are going through the states and they're thinking, okay, we're married, unmarried. Does that make a difference in Iowa?
So I think the biggest issue really is a genetic connection to the child. The Supreme Court case in 2018 gave those of us that were already working in this area a lot more assurances. I think it has made individuals as well as agencies feel better. The most important thing is if you have a genetic connection to a child, you can have a single parent, you can have same-sex parents. And there's always the option to do an adoption afterwards if you're not genetically connected. That adoption is hard to do if you're not married. But many times with international parents, the courts recognize civil pacts, other options. But the goal for that easy, streamlined second parent adoption would be for to have a significant relationship where the court will consider you co-parenting.
So that's if only one of you is genetically related, you're trying to get the other parent to be a parent, correct?
Yes. If both parents are genetically related, we don't have to do any adoption. It's very streamlined and easy. Okay,
great. So for the LGBT community, they shouldn't be afraid of using Iowa, is what you're saying.
Right. They should not.
Okay. And then procedurally, there's a lot of nuances to every state, of course, but you've got people looking through the internet for some very specific keywords. They're wanting to know about pre-birth versus post-birth orders. Some call it parentage orders, some call it other different things. What does it look like in Iowa?
Well, Emily and I practice for the most part the same way. We've worked across the state together. And so we like to request a pre-birth order. In almost all cases, we get it. But the reason that we like a pre-birth order is several things. It has set you up with the judge. They've read everything. The documents are signed and drafted. We're not worrying about anything at the time of birth when you should be enjoying snuggles and meeting your child. And so the pre-birth order gets everything out that the judge wants to know. Every once in a while, they have a question. Most of what we find is just new judges who say, what is this? So we like pre-birth orders where the court will establish paternity. So the court is fine saying surrogate, if you have a partner or spouse, they are not they're not the father. And if you have a biological connection with one of the intended parents, who's a male, they will establish paternity. And then they'll say in the order, we get it, Right after birth, we will do that post-birth order and finish off everything as you want. They just get a little nervous with terminating the surrogate's rights prior to birth. But it sets us up, Emily and I quick, one of us gets the baby's name, we finish up the order, and right away are able to get a post-birth order, which we need for a birth certificate. So with the baby's name, date of birth, all those final details, and genetic parents will be legally established in that post-birth order, all in the same case.
Yeah.
So-
And the other thing that's helpful with having a pre-birth order is the hospital has a court order dictating to them, we can treat the parents as parents and they can have full authority to make medical decisions on behalf of the child, et cetera. So that's another helpful thing with the pre-birth order. But in terms of finalizing parentage, Iowa does need that post-birth order.
Okay, now there was a comment about we practice across the state. Is Iowa one of those states where there's certain parts of the state people should be staying away from? Is it you don't have to tell me which ones, but is it a varied situation based on the counties?
There are a few counties that are on our naughty list that we, right at that first phone call, we find out where the gestational carrier resides and where she's going to be giving birth, which hospital. And we can make some adjustments to address those situations when we know that there's a county that we want to try to avoid in certain situations.
Okay, so what that tells me is that anybody listening should know that they need to get a hold of either of you to really figure that out and work through those nuances. Do you two enjoy working together?
Yes, it's always nice. The family building process in this practice is fantastic in the first place, but knowing that there's someone on each side that makes it smooth and easy, that you're not going to have mistakes, just makes the whole thing even smoother. And if there's ever hiccups, which are rare, but if there are, it's easy for us to get on the phone and say, okay, what's really going on? How can we help?
Yeah, and we've had the situation come up where we had a judge, here or there that had a unique take on the code and the administrative code and everything, and we'll just brainstorm with each other to clear that roadblock. So it's very enjoyable to work with Shayla, and I know we're both really committed to being state of the art, updated with Quad A in order to keep up to date for Iowa cases.
Great. So those of you that are listening, if you're looking at the state of Iowa, or if there's a part of your case that has an Iowa connection, you will want to reach out to either of these fellows on the Academy website. Now, the Academy has a map, and on that map, you can choose the state of Iowa, and you can see all the fellows that we have in the state of Iowa. And they are designated whether or not they are adoption versus assisted reproductive technology attorneys, reproduction attorneys. So if you want to get a hold of them, go back to our website, which is adoptionart.org. adoptionart.org, and they would be happy to talk to you. We appreciate both of you introducing Iowa to us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.